And it'll be delayed back there. You know, it's probably good, it can be up to like 30 seconds delayed, like I just walk in there and we'll up see it.
Right.
But yeah, keep it over here on this right now. But that's what people get to, there it is. And we got sound.
That's great.
Okay.
Welcome everyone, Monday, May 17th, 2021, 6:28 PM. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Everyone like to stand. Join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Miss Sarah.
John Fortin, here. Abby Green. Sarah Jones, here. Craig Corpella. Dana Wells Jenny,
Here.
Jeff Wolfersberger.
Here.
Tim Wood.
Here. At this time, I would like to announce Abby Green has turned in her resignation letter. I've chosen not to read the email. I don't know if it was sent to the public or not. But Abby Green, if you're watching, I thank you very much for your time and all your effort. And I know the district does as well. 1.04, norms of collaboration. I'd like to remind everyone of the norms. 1.05, addenda. Evan, do you have something to remove?
Actually, yes, I do. Well, you know what? Actually, this has not. Let's see, where's it? Yes. I asked that we remove the board policy, which is 5.03. The policy that I wanted to bring to the board was not sent to us from Yola. It's probably because we just got a conversation last week. Probably takes a few days for them to have to put it into the system or whatever. That board policy was 5610, and it would have been a revision.
Anybody have any questions about that? Sarah, if you'd like to take a vote to remove 5.03 board policy.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have a question. Are we tabling it and putting it back on?
I would hope that we take it.
Okay, so we're tabling it for next month.
You could table it.
Oh.
Is that bring it?
I motion we table it then?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Sarah votes yes. Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn.
Yes.
5.03 board policies will be tabled till June. At this time, I would ask to add for discussion mask recommendations with the current recommendations from the state, the local health department, whether we'd like to visit that with concerns of vaccinated adults not having to wear masks per state recommendations. Would we like to discuss that tonight on? I'd be open to that.
I make a motion
That we add it to the agenda. Thank you, sir.
I second.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Sarah, if you would.
Vote Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Sarah, yes.
Thank you. Mask recommendations will now be 5.03. I would also like to add the discussion for our current board vacancy, to discuss that and the procedure moving forward with filling that seat, please. Any questions? I'll go ahead and make that motion to add the board vacancy to the agenda for this evening.
I second that.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay. Jeff,
Yes, please.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Dana,
Unless anyone has any objections, we'll put that as 5.04 and we'll move closed discussion for closed session to 5.05. Everyone good with that? Thank you. So that is 5.04. Closed session will be 5.05. 2.01, comments from the public. Yeah, public. None. Let me go first. State your name and
Travis Smith, with Pennfield Little League Football.
And I'm Trevor Bideman with Pennfield Rocket League Football.
All right, so what brings us here tonight is recently we've been challenged last year with COVID being kind of shut down for half of the season, only open with 7th and 8th grade. Kind of challenged with some financial items. Currently, we're paying around $3,000 a year for storage units. I'd like to see if the church up the road is being used and what it's being used for. I'd like to see if we could possibly use it for storage. Be willing to go in there, clean it out, do what we need to maintain it. But the money that we'd be saving from not having a storage unit, put that back into the Pennfield football and cheerleading programs here instead of paying somebody else with that $3,000 a year. So.
Yeah, basically with that too, we would also look if we get something done to start collaborating a little bit with also lacrosse and anybody else that could use some storage over there. One of the things that we talked about yesterday at our board meeting was the lack of youth sports programs here. And we have a lot of volunteers right now with the younger age group that I think we can get engaged in that and maybe even get baseball started up and keep all sorts of stuff in there. So kind of the whole idea would be to help us get, more things. So we're not spending funds to store things if we have something here already on the facility. So that's kind of the idea of what we're doing.
Any questions about that? Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Savannah?
Board members, I think you should have an email with a link that you could open up if you would like to. It's just some results from a survey that I did. Good evening, board members. My name is Savannah Ron. I'm a junior at Pennfield, and I also attend the Math and Science Center. I participate in Pennfield lacrosse, and I'm here to speak tonight about grading. I spoke last year as well as my freshman year, and after everything with COVID, I felt like it was probably something that needed to be refreshed. The Math and Science Center is a place where students who want to further challenge their learning go. The environment there allows us to cover topics with much more depth than you could in a classroom with students that don't really want to be there. The depth and speed at which we cover material is meant to be a struggle. The curriculum is designed to push us. At the center, we're students who are normally top of our class, and that struggle isn't really something we're used to. The strategic plan at Pennfield states that the goal is to ensure all students will grow intellectually, socially, and emotionally through quality teaching and informed leadership. If the grading system is supposed to appropriately show people succeeding academically, socially, and emotionally, how is punishing those that challenge themselves productive? If the students who push themselves academically are given a 4.5 scale for their classes, they will be more likely to continue to push themselves. However, if they're constantly worried about what will happen to their GPA, they'll drop out or tell other students that they shouldn't attend the center. I decided to conduct a survey of Pennfield staff members to see who knew about the weighting of grades and what they believed it should look like. I was disappointed to see that out of the 43 staff members I sent this to, only 13 participated. If you look at the link you were sent, these are the responses. So I asked what people thought were currently graded, whether it was center, KCC grades, or AP grades. Most people answered with no to Math and Science Center, no to KCC, and yes, the AP were currently graded, which is true. And then I asked on a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree whether they thought AP grades should be weighted, Math and Science Center, or KCC. 70% of the response for Math and Science Center was agree. I love the center, and I know that this grading thing probably won't be put in place until after I graduate, since next year I'm a senior. However, I really care about the center, and I don't want people to continue discouraging students from going, because something that happened last year was a lot of people in my grade were telling the incoming freshmen, it's not worth it. It's too stressful. It's too taxing because you're so worried about your GPA, and it's so easy to mess up there because of the depth and speed of the curriculum. I'm going to continue to come and speak at these meetings, and I hope to have more information to provide you, because I want to make an impact for future students. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Savannah.
Anyone else to speak this evening?
Am I allowed to? Oh, so I got a mic?
Yes, please. State your name if you would, please, sir.
Man, it's like I'm recorded. My name is Deputy Dan Hillman. I am your school liaison officer. I'm here to let you know, or for those who don't know, that I'm retiring this year. This is my last school year with Pennfield Schools. I had a great 8 years here. Very hard for me to say goodbye, but I have a new predecessor coming here. This is Deputy Salisbury. He's going to be your new liaison officer starting the 2021 school year. And I'll hand it over to him and let him introduce himself and tell him a little bit about himself.
Hello, everyone. Deputy Salisbury, going on 20 years at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department. Prior to being assigned to the city of Springfield, I actually worked Pennfield Township for 8.5 years. So I'm familiar with a lot of people out here, and I look forward to being your new resource officer.
Thank you, gentlemen, both very much. Thank you. Any other comments from the floor? Thank you. Consent agenda 3.01, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Need approval. Do I have a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Sarah. I'll go ahead and second that.
All right, Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Sarah is a yes, Dana,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes. One procedure was removed from the consent agenda. 5.01, ECOL confirmation.
Yes, Mr. Mueller is here to present his study each month. That is the order. Yeah, so.
Hello, board. Hello, everyone. This is our monthly reconfirmation hearing for the extended our extended COVID to return to learn plan. And my job tonight is to report attendance percentages. And this is the most bizarre month we've ever had. So it's not bizarre because of the numbers, but the numbers look really low unless you hear what is actually going on. Weeks 1 and 2 were actually part of spring break because our week runs from Wednesday to Tuesday. half of the week was week 1, half of the other week was week 2. So we only had 2 instructional days for those first 2 weeks. Weeks 3 and 4, halfway through those weeks. In week 3, we went to virtual learning across the district. And in week 4, we returned from virtual learning. So we had a lot of bizarre stuff going on that just didn't link up with our instructional weeks and how we have to report them to the state. Whenever we have a short week, our goal is 2 interactions per student, but the standard is 1. So when you see it says 2 or more, that's pie in the sky, but we do expect to have 1. When it comes to spring break, especially as we're moving about, you can see we did have a dip in virtual learning, but our in-person learning was not too bad. It stayed up in that 90s or about 90. So the numbers look bizarre, but read those descriptors that are in the first column and you'll see exactly, the course of action that our teachers were dealing with at that time. I don't know how many more of these we'll be required to do, but I do have 1 more that at least that will be coming your way. And that one is a little more standard as far as attendance goes. So that's the reconfirmation numbers for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
No questions for Jerry?
Thank you.
As always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, 5.02 bond proposal for November. It's been presented last week with our recommended Plan A, Plan B. And tonight is the night for the board to choose one of those and moving forward. Kevin has attached a timeline. I think answered a lot of my questions from last week. On what everything's gonna look like in the next few months. Does anyone have any other questions on the bond itself or the Plan A? Plan
A with the 90-some% agreeable to the survey.
Not the numbers. Okay. Anyone else have any?
One of the questions I did have is I seen on there that they talked about tearing that church down. Was there a reason to tear that down?
Was that more for the new building, needing the room?
I can't remember. Just thrown out as something that, if the district didn't need it, that this would be an opportunity to take care of it. And so this is our recommendation and something like that. If we don't want to do it, we don't have,
So it was just to get it off the property.
That's right.
Well, at one point, I think it was discussed, reconfiguring the track and the football field. At one point, it wasn't to move the football field track that direction, to make the track go north to south versus east and west. And I think that may have been overlooked and did not get taken off. It's still on A, but it's still on A. Probably, I don't know why it is. It is.
The opportunity, the opportunity to, if it's not being used, to have bond money ready to go that does not have to come out of the current budget, school budget to do it. Although it does sound like based on tonight, some comments that were made that there might be another potential fixed use opportunity for it. I think it was if the one needs to do it, so there we could have bond proposal money to do it now without having to do anything else. But I don't know that, again, it can't be revisited or talked about, if having some change. But that's what I think about.
And I know we discussed it before, just the accessibility of bathrooms.
Yeah, it's being used for bathrooms, yeah.
Yeah, you have girls and boys soccer all the way at the west end. Junior football, high school football, 7th and 8th grade, all that, all right there for, I was actually trying to find my AE column. Is that one of those that is in a, category of its own, or is there other in that?
Demo church building, yeah, it's $34,000.
So if we move forward and we just said pull away, and then we wanted to reallocate those funds, can we do that or can't we do that?
If it's not specified in the village, the proposal,
In the
we
language.
have to do it.
Okay.
But if it's actually specified, it's.
I thought we discussed at the committee of the whole that this wasn't set in stone.
This is not, this is where I asked, we discussed the categories.
Correct.
Is that scope item, is that all one category?
So, Rob, if you would share, Ryan, as to what we talked about before when it comes to those actual categories compared to those changes?
So for this particular instance, if we do not have the demo of that church building listed as a part of the approved bond scope, then we can apply funds, which in essence frees up that 34,000 to go towards one of the other items. So that's really what you're deciding. If you truly don't want it demoed, you could approve option A minus the demo of the church, and that will not be part of the scope.
So we would need to remove that tonight.
Yes.
Because
we would identify that in the bond application. And that's a very specific item.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not locked into this.
So how about the dollar amounts? Do we need to discuss the dollar amounts in each? Hence technology and furniture.
The only dollar amount you really got to discuss is the 30 million, the total. Because remember, you have a lot of flexibility throughout the whole process. The design is where you really get into it. You can shift dollars here and there. The key is the bond scope description. That's the most important thing tonight.
So if the church is in there as a part of the bond description, then it has to have funds that's going to it.
Yeah, well, and if you identify the church as being demoed as part of the bond scope, you have to demo the church. So maybe think of it that way.
So
if there's question on it, then we could easily strike that one line item.
See, I think that it would be extremely helpful to the board, especially with so many newcomers, even including myself. If there was a committee of the whole or a workshop to go over that more.
In depth.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't expect.
No, you're fine. I'm just, because of just like this situation, you know, when I was reviewing that at home on my own time, I was like, is this something we're going to have to do? You know, and I just feel like that building and everyone knows, everybody knows, I've shared how I feel about that building.
Yes.
It has really nice bathrooms in it. It can be used. It should be able to be used. Why would we pay the amount that we paid to turn around and pay to?
Rip it down.
It just.
Yeah. Completely agree.
It's a good reason. If we were putting something else in its place that would prove more equitable and to our district for everyone, or, you know, be an asset to our district and community, then understandably so, if we had to remove it to put something else there. But I just feel like it's not falling apart. There are some broken windows in it.
Well, because today has to be a decision to be made moving forward or not. And the committee is sitting here, and the question would be, if you really want to scratch that line item, as they mentioned, and it's 36,000 that's there, that can be a line item to scratch, because this is more about, think of it as categories. So each one of those each one of those line items are considered categories. What was mentioned week before, is that it is those amounts may change, but you still have to put into that category. Which is why I asked that question to Rob and to Ryan, is that if that church is still on there, then you'd have to, even if it's only 20,000, but you still have to take it down. But if that line item is taken off, and the vote from the board is going to move forward with the rest, then that would be something. And for the committee, that would have been something they would have been able to discuss from the first and the second time that we brought the actual list. But they're sitting here, so as I look around and we're looking at their nod and going, yeah, that's going to move us forward, then yeah, stretch.
We have that electronically, so I can look at it quickly again to see if there's anything else that I want to just. Okay, thank you. I know it's electronically in here somewhere, but thank you. I appreciate you, Sarah. That's it, mine.
Because the board can't all attend the committee meetings and like that, because you can't have a quorum. I mean, tonight, of course, it poses a little bit late for something like this, but for all of us in the future, it would be nice to consider a bond workshop with the full board, the committee, all going through and having a discussion in that. Unfortunately, what happens is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
What is,
I'm just out of curiosity, because now, I mean, if this has to be more like, when it says transportation fixed skin, is it?
It's the exterior.
Just make it look pretty?
There's some rotting, siding, some pieces that are falling apart, and that's actually, I was just talking to them real quick. You mentioned broken windows in the church.
Yep.
Where there could be a recommendation there would be to, instead of making it a tear down, to take that money and align it to building maintenance of church.
So
if it's an asset to keep,
right,
then realign that to maintenance of that building versus demoing it. That is going to be a district want mixed use. Put the money there to fix what needs to be fixed. Same thing with transportation, would be to fix the outside of the building.
So instead of demoing church building,
I would,
windows.
well, I would suggest renovation.
Renovation would be the language.
Then we can do windows, we can paint, it gives us a lot more flexibility.
Okay.
That way we still keep within the scope, we still have the dollars that we can use for that, as a recommendation from us to you guys to be able to continue to use that money, making it the asset that potentially the district would want versus tearing it down and getting.
And you said these numbers are not locked in, so we can put technology in here, so we can still give them some money, but we don't have to give them the money that you guys say are suggesting. And you put furniture on here, so we can still give them money, but, okay. You guys said it, sir. Okay, so, okay, I would feel more comfortable if we changed the wording and then to renovation as opposed to demolish. If we choose to go with option A.
Is that a motion to approve option A with remodel the church? Everything else staying the same?
I would second that.
Renovate or remodel?
Either or word, but I prefer renovate.
Yeah, remodel is like a only cover kind of.
Yeah.
Renovate.
Renovate, get
Fresh paint, the windows.
You're tracking your motion with renovate?
So motion to, I will second that. And I'll take a vote. Dawn?
Yes.
Sarah is yes. Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes. Motion passes. Next up, we voting on Plan B. Once again, thank you, board, thank you, the committee, for all your hard work. And we will be moving on with Plan A with the revision.
I just have a quick question on timeline, just so I'm clear. So the drop dead date to have everything exactly how we want it with the bond language is 8/10, right?
Yeah, that's the ballot language. Your attorneys will draft that.
On that date, or they'll have it back to us at that date?
So I believe that's a committee day or a board meeting day.
That's a, and then we'll get rid of it.
So, I just love it.
That's too bad.
Before that.
So that 7/19 is when it comes back to the board.
Yeah.
It's 70. Let's call it.
So we'll have it for next night on 7.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Tim?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Five point oh three, mask recommendations. Kevin, can you start with enlightening us on the current recommendations of the state and the Calhoun County Health Department?
Yeah, so we met with, each Monday, we meet with the superintendents from Branch, Berry, and Calhoun County. They're here at Castle. And last Friday, the governor came out with it is okay to, be indoors without wearing a mask if fully vaccinated. So, this information that I'm sharing with you came out from that discussion that around the county, the superintendents are discussing with their boards. A few of them are meeting tonight. I think Harper Creek and Battle Creek maybe, but might be Lakeview. But there's a couple of Battle Creek districts that are meeting tonight. Their discussion is around not changing anything, but keeping everything the same through the remainder of the year. That's with the adults wearing masks, the kids have to wear masks, which is why I shared this part. That says that the kids still have to wear a mask regardless. But these are recommendations from the CDC. There's going to be questions about the adults. We had opportunities for the district staff to get their shots and become fully vaccinated. That may come up to where it's like, well, as a teacher, I've gone and gotten my shots, and so now I'm fully vaccinated, so in front of the kids, can I teach without a mask? That may become a question, and it will only become a question if the other districts that are going in to have a conversation with their boards say they want to leave the same. If all of a sudden their boards go, no, we're going to allow district staff to go without a mask. I did not want that opportunity to pass our board to which was, well, why didn't we have an opportunity to speak on that point? So there is no right or wrong, but you may have already heard from some people, district staff, board members may have already heard, maybe, maybe not, but if not, depending on what comes out of the other communities, it may affect the yes or no of what we do in our district.
So correct me if I'm wrong, as of right now, if you are fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask indoors.
That's correct.
So it is recommended by the CDC and Calhoun County Health Department that we continue in the schools.
That's correct.
So wanted to bring it to the board.
That's
Is there any interest or discussion whatsoever on changing our current policy, which is anyone on school ground, or excuse me, in the building?
District staff.
Yeah.
District staff continue wearing their masks until our school year is over.
Is that policy until the end of the school year?
Because it's what was voted on last summer for the beginning of the school year, and the mask was a part of it. But you can't just change it. It'd have to be a vote from the board to change that part. Then I have to go back to Jerry and try to say, hey, we need to rewrite it and resubmit it to the state.
Well, I think the first question that would arise would be the students that are fully vaccinated or will be, potentially before the, well, why does my teacher not have to, but I have to?
Yeah.
So you start getting kind of messy.
Yeah.
So that's just something for everyone to consider.
I really agree with Dawn on this. I think that if we just keep things the way they are for the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Just keep the way they are in the next 2.5 weeks. I mean, and then next school year, hopefully we
Right.
can.
It's supposed to be July 1st.
Let's hope, trust me, I'm vaxxed. I literally need this thing. It feels like a wet diaper.
Yeah. And it's gonna be hot this week, but I can't see standing in front of your kids without a mask
Yeah,
and
I think it's
expecting them to
selfish.
do that. It's just not.
Yeah, and yeah.
And I would like to just touch on the fact of the amount of cases that we have
Yes,
now.
Yeah.
I would ask the same thing. Let's just get out of.
Let's just get through the school year.
Yep.
I
Not a
mean,
mass person either. but
secondary, we've got what, 9 days
Whatever
left?
it might take to keep the spread down. And
We can appreciate that because there would also be, or could be, some mixed feelings about some of the adults who are and are not walking the building.
Or 16 plus.
Yes.
Who've been vaccinated.
I think we're still in the stage of we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so just get through the school year with that slogan and revisit it.
In summer, for next year. Yep.
I have a dissenting view. I think if you're fully vaccinated and you're a staff, you should be able to make your own choice. I don't think it's worth making a motion to vote on it, but just speaking my 2 cents to say that I have a dissenting vote against it.
I do have a question. Are they wearing masks on the playgrounds currently? Yeah, I know that, some schools, if you're outside, you do get to take it off. And some teachers actually take their students outside
Mask breaks.
for mask breaks and things like that, so.
Yes.
And Tim, I very much appreciate your feedback, and I totally agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
I just don't think it's worth, we have to be, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be different if we had more time left.
I get it, it's 2 weeks. All right. So with no motion, nothing will change. Moving on to 5.04, board vacancy with the resignation of Abby Green. We will need to move forward with filling that vacant slot. We have 30 days to do so. I have some dates wrote down. I'd like to get you guys' feedback and see if that works for you.
Like interviews, you're saying?
Talking, I'm gonna go through all that right now. I would like to request to make the deadline for applicants June 28th. Talking with Kevin earlier, everyone is fully prepared to send to Inquire and the Shopper all of our websites, Facebook pages, all that stuff. Start posting it tomorrow.
Do you mean May? I would say that, you mean April?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that puts us out past the 30 day.
Where did you go to high school?
Now you're questioning me. You're making me question myself.
I was just teasing you.
Yes. I'm looking toward the end of the school. Okay, so, excuse me, May 28th, for the deadline for applicants. And then pulling a special meeting on June 2nd for the interview process.
Okay.
And that would let us address this in the committee of the whole. And then vote in the board meeting in June.
You said June 2nd interview?
June 2nd is a Wednesday.
Right.
We would have a special board meeting and have to interview the applicants, come for an interview process.
I think,
They have to be sworn in by the,
Yeah.
yeah,
By 30 days.
by the 14th.
I think, and Jackie could remind us, but I think Jackie, if you wouldn't mind sharing that process,
It's like a 2-day.
wasn't it a, decision made that night?
Yes.
It was a decision that night, because you don't have a quorum here.
Yeah.
So they left, we had them all ranked.
That's perfectly fine if you guys want to do it.
Yeah, so I will tell you, I kind of determined the shopper news, like, if we can still get that in this week.
If you get in by
It's like Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Right, yeah, I have to work with Danielle, make sure we can get that in. So that is a quick turnaround for applicants. I forwarded you stuff we've used before, so I can forward all that. I guess that's about a week. Okay, that didn't work. But we did do it that night, and then they were in this Friday.
The reason I asked that question is because the regular board meeting for June is not until the 28th.
We would have to do it in the committee of the whole.
Yeah, because I think that's yeah, I see that's why you said that.
Unless you guys wanted to do it that night.
Well, we could vote on it that night after we interview them, so it'll all be fresh in our mind, and we could swear them in on the committee of the whole. Because we have to swear them in by then, because otherwise it would be over 30 days.
So taking your guys' feedback, would you mind, could we take the deadline to June 2nd and have the meeting that night?
But we have to have.
You
time to-
can't have, like, let them know, like, you have to schedule the interviews.
Yeah.
And you will review their applicants. We'll all review them on our own time
Yeah.
prior to the interview.
Yeah, I think the second is a little quick from the deadline.
Yeah, you can maybe do the 9th.
Because I'll get all the applicants and then I'll forward all of them to you.
Yep.
And then before we kind of determine by applicants how long of the interview process, I sent you like a little guide and there's a whole, there's a whole list of questions and you guys, I forwarded those to you and you let me know, like, you're gonna ask, like, Don's gonna ask questions 1 and 15, you know, like, you pick your questions. So you are consistent with all the applicants, so you might have to take a little bit more time to review from the 28th to the 2nd.
Okay, do you guys want to wait until the committee of the whole on the 14th to do this? I mean, it's going to be, could be a long meeting. My assumption with the candidates that were on the ballot, we're going to get.
My concern with that is, I feel like our committee of the whole meetings have been more of a preview of our regular meeting. And some of it has been actual work, but some of it's just been more like, what's the agenda for the regular meeting? And I would like to get more in depth and have that committee of the whole, it's a workshop meeting.
Mhm.
You know, I would like to start digging a little deeper and getting more familiar as a board with the budget, with some of those things, you know, and I just don't want to like double pile our committee of the whole.
So you're okay with having an extra meeting?
I don't think we could actually, I don't know if we can actually meet, because like, for example, like when I came to do that day that when, I don't even remember who left that time. I think it was Bishop. Like there were interviews from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So we can't,
What's it like now?
yeah.
I'm just asking.
The last one you did, we had a nice group.
I mean, you got 10 applicants both times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't understand, like, if we're not gonna do it on the 2nd, why would we do it like the 8th, 9th, or 10th, or something like that week? So then we can vote them in on the committee of the whole. We have to get them, we have to have time to discuss them, look it over, and then vote them in by because they have to be voted in now by the 17th. That's 30 days.
What about a special meeting on the 9th?
I am open to a special meeting on the 9th.
So if we have the deadline on
Have the deadline June 4th and a special meeting on the 9th.
or make the deadline June 2nd, So that gives us a whole week to review. Because if we get 10 resumes, it gives you, a week to review 10 resumes.
If that's what you want.
Does that sound June 2nd?
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's a good.
So June 2nd deadline, special meeting June 9th.
Because then,
For interviews.
depending on how many we get, then we're going to set up the interviews for that day. And then we can, can we, in Shopper, I'm just,
Yeah,
can we say the day that the interviews are going to be?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I think that, so what I've done in the past, and you guys can talk about how you want it done, is I have like a grid that you would fill in for like what you're looking for in each question. And then you actually talked about, the board members went through the grid and we talked and voted that same night.
Yeah.
No, one thing that we have done in the past as a board is we try to keep our meetings on Mondays, which would be June 7th.
I am unavailable on the 7th. I am also.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
How is the 9th? It's a Wednesday night.
It was a Wednesday night.
6:30.
Well, it's going to depend on how many people we have that want to interview, because if we have,
We don't have to set a time. Let's just set a date.
Okay.
yeah, because if we have 10 people, we may have to start the interviews early otherwise, because we can't be interviewing somebody at 10 o'clock at night.
Correct.
Because didn't they run about, 20 minutes or so piece?
I think they were 30. I can send the schedule and I will send you everything that I kind of gave you a brief overview before this meeting, because you had it.
You get 10 people, that's 5 hours of interviews.
I think we allotted like 15 minutes per applicant,
Maybe it was 20.
maybe.
Remember, we were calling because something had changed, so let's take a look at the process, send it all to you, and then we can schedule them however long you want. So we can take a look too, and if we get, say, 5 and you want more time, then we take more time. So
Okay.
I'll send you tons of information, and then we can set up that night however you guys want to look at it.
I guess it'll be based on how many we get back.
Yeah.
We can always adjust the time. What I'm asking for tonight is a deadline and.
June 2nd deadline, June 9th interviews.
Is that a motion, ma'am?
I motion that June 2nd be the deadline and June 9th be the interview process to fill the vacancy of the school board for Pennfield.
I second.
Thank you, ladies. If there's no other questions, Sarah, if you would.
Okay, Sarah, I vote yes. Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn.
Yes.
June 2nd, June 9th. Set in stone. Deal. 5.05, a request for a closed session to discuss the superintendent's contract. Still requesting that?
Yes.
Any visitors to the closed session, please?
Administrative assistant, Jackie.
I would like to make a motion to go to closed session with Kevin and Chad. Second that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dana,
Oh, yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Sarah, yes.
We will go into closed session. We'll see you guys back here shortly. Maybe?
Yeah, yeah, but there we are. I'm just gonna make sure.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. To the fire.
I got YouTube, but I don't know.
Since we have posted this and invited people, is it just a courtesy at this point to stream it live? Can we move on or?
From here on, well, unless we get other information.
Exactly.
This is all this. We don't have to, okay. We don't have to stream anymore with those two though. Looks like we're getting a lot more participation. If you guys look on YouTube, there's like 350 views of our meetings, so nice, yeah.
That's me watching it multiple times.
All right, welcome back. Closed session. 6.01 financial or finance expenditure report. Kevin, was this you or?
Yep, that would have been NG, but it's the same, that comes to China. Expenditure report.
Anyone have any questions on the attachment? 1920 actual, 2021 preliminary, and then gives the 2021 year-to-date actual. Moving on. 7.01 comes from the public. We do not have any public. 8.01 superintendent comments. Kevin.
Yes, I actually have, 4 things to share. Yep, you come over and take a look at this. Because I thought this was sent to you, but actually it was sent to me while I share out. I thought this was sent to you from her.
It was.
But it says to me.
CC, Jackie, and I.
Yeah, but it was sent to me.
It's to you also. It's sent to you in CC.
Okay, which meant that this message wasn't for you, it was for me.
Correct.
Okay. And I should have done it earlier, but I will, give her the respect on this one after. Sorry about that. Hey, 4 things. The parade yesterday was a great opportunity for kids, and the work that was done putting that together was a great opportunity, and it was a good job. Dana, thank you for your time and the athletic boosters and the administrative staff and coaches who got in contact with the kids to come out, and the kids look great with their cap and gowns as they were walking through. Second thing is I'm excited the second step has taken place with the board with moving forward with bond. That is some great things, and the actual timeline and being able to move forward. Before long, we'll have the opportunity to get into campaign mode, but there's still work to be done. But there's some excitement that is going to be occurring, especially with the group that has been working to make sure they bring this information to your attention. And we do have, as Officer Hillman, Deputy Hillman came tonight to share that he's retiring. He and quite a few others, they have some very large shoes to fill. And I'm sure that Officer Salisbury will be doing a good job for our district and for our kids in this community. We also have a couple other, and they'll continue to come to your attention, but Connie Carroll is also retiring from the middle school as the guidance counselor. She's got some 37 years under her belt where she's been doing great things with our kids, Sharon Driscoll, and there's going to be others. There's some resignations, just like 3 or 4. but that information I'll also be sending to you. The last thing is, Ed Green, who has done some extraordinarily great work as a board member. I thought that this was sent to Jeff's attention, but she actually sent a letter. Was sent and said, read this at the beginning of the board meeting. Since I misread it at the beginning, then I'll take the opportunity because she'll truly be vested in her leadership and her opportunities that she shared. She said, dear school board friends, I find myself at this time to turn in my resignation, effective at the beginning of the regular board meeting on May 17th. I will be healthy soon and come back to speak more to you then. Please support Kevin in this contract and assure him of your confidence in him. He is doing a great job, and he and Jeff make a great team. Abby Green. Her resignation letter, which actually didn't realize it was sent to me, and it was. So with that being said, that's all the comments I have for tonight. President Wolfberg.
Thank you, Kevin. Board comments?
I don't know if we can go back to this or do this, but we actually need to fill the vice president seat.
Oh,
We don't have to.
yeah, we do.
You can wait until the seventh seat is filled, and then have a vote of everyone.
Whatever the board would like to do.
And I thought about that earlier, but I was more trying to get moving on the vacancy.
Are you 100% for sure on that?
Yeah. Am I 100% sure I am? 95.
We have filled it in the past, is what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, typically we have filled it in the meeting.
Yeah.
Never gone back in a meeting before.
What's that?
I've never gone back into a meeting before, into just.
We're in the meeting.
Yeah, we haven't closed, we haven't adjourned.
Right.
With this, I know what you're saying, this is part where we address the public. Yeah.
I feel more comfortable holding off on it since we're missing a board member and we're gonna have that new person.
I think that's
It really needs to be put together.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good point, but I think we're past it for this meeting.
Yeah, I apologize, I didn't even think of it, I was more focused on trying to.
So would that make the secretary or someone acting vice president? Because you have to consider this. God forbid,
Yeah,
but if
sure.
something happens, then we have no no one to run the meeting, just whatever.
And as to give me until tomorrow, I will send an email to the board addressing all that. Let me just find.
I mean, if something happened to Kevin, we'd find someone to interim his
Correct.
position.
Totally get what you're saying.
You know.
I can't answer that. That's
We're just caught off guard. We didn't. I didn't even think of it.
Well,
How
that's,
to do it.
I mean, part of it is I've been through all of this.
Yeah.
I told
And that's why I brought it up.
And thank you for bringing it up.
You know, I just feel like if you don't want to vote on it tonight, we could vote for someone to sit in that seat temporarily until it's voted on in the next meeting or whenever.
Okay.
Because once we're out of this meeting, we can't, unless you hold a special meeting,
Yeah.
it would be until the next meeting.
We did that with Jeff, didn't we? We asked you to sit in as secretary
Yes,
for
and he did when,
meeting
and yes,
until we came back.
yes.
I think that's what Dawn's asking.
It's just been the way that we've done it in the past. We've been through a couple of vacancies, so.
Understand. You're all looking at me, I'm only one.
Yeah, but that was something that was added to the agenda. So.
Was the board vacancy?
So that if,
Because the board vacancy was back on 5.04.
Correct.
Can we, are we allowed to backtrack and open back up in 5.04
yes,
and nominate someone to be interim until we get
Get our other board members.
the board number?
Fair enough. I mean, it sounds like we can.
I mean, I don't think that should be part of the motion because you don't know
Yeah,
you're gonna have all the board members here. I mean, somebody else could resign in the meantime.
yeah.
So if you're waiting until everybody's here,
No, I get exactly what I'm like. In my opinion, I would say that we just go with, like, move forward. Because it's a 6-month position at this point, so we're gonna revote again in January. You will every January.
Is it every year?
Yes, every year you vote.
Officers.
So at this point, it's a 6-month position. So if we're gonna go back, then I would make a motion, to make Dawn vice president. She's got the most board knowledge. She's taken the most classes at this point. So I would make a motion, to make Dawn vice president.
I'd second that.
I accept, thank you. Now it needs to be voted on.
I think you need to add it to the agenda first,
Well,
It's revisiting 5.04 with a second motion. The discussion's there at 5.0.
Oh, he's going back to where it was
Motions are the
already
same
on.
discussion.
This one,
So we're going back to 5.04 with a separate motion.
So now we do it.
We're just waiting on.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry, I'm like just making sure I got everything down. Okay.
She had to use pen color so she knows where to follow the.
Yeah, usually I do multiple pen colors. Today I only have one. Okay, and then I have to figure out where I'm at in that order for, okay, Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Congratulations, Dawn.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up and reminding us also.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I would have brought it up earlier, but, it was here and left and came back.
I apologize. I didn't even think about it. We kind of discussed it earlier. I just assumed.
Well, just talking about her leaving, it was just like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like super, I feel like there's so many people here for the first time, you know?
So back to 9.01 board comments. Does anyone have anything else?
I do. I just want to thank everybody who came and supported the parade on Sunday. I think it was a great turnout. I want to give a special shout out to Dawn for bringing extra candy for the Panther to give out, or the Panther and his helper to give out. I really appreciated you bringing up extra candy. We picked up some, but not nearly enough. And I think the kids really liked that. So special thank you to you and your husband for bringing that up to us. And I just thought it was a great community day. So I would love to, next year when we work on our centralized calendar, just automatically put a senior parade on the calendar. So we just already automatically know. So we just run things smoother every year.
Great idea.
I think Kim was taking notes.
My wife always takes notes. It's the only way that I'm in order.
Yeah.
I just said it the other day. I went to a baseball game. Tyler was quarantined. I went to a baseball game and I forgot the extra phone. I forgot everything for going live, and I can't do it without my wife.
Yeah.
Anyone else for board comments?
I would like,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to add to that. I feel like Pennfield being a township, it doesn't give us a lot of opportunity to come together as a community. So the more that the school can do some of those things, it's a great way to build our community to be the best place to live. And I appreciate everyone's work and all of that. Jeff and Dana really put a lot of time into that. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say a quick thank you to Abby. You know,
Yes.
she's given years to the school, the community. Everybody knows her. You know, she's just a great person. So sorry to hear that you're leaving, Abby, and our prayers are with you for whatever is in your future.
Second that.
I third that.
All the way.
Yes, first and foremost, thank you, Abby. You have been my side, or on my side, by my side to get me started here, in the president's seat that I am in, and I very much appreciate it. You're always there, a text away. I know you'll continue to be there, a text away, but, I want to thank you very much for everything you've done. Last but not least, I want to touch base with everyone, June 4th, the last day of school, half day. Reminder, once we get closer, I'll get an email to all staff, but the all staff luncheon provided by the board and some sponsors, June 4th at 10 o'clock. We'll get out there about 10 o'clock and have everything ready about 10 o'clock, and we invite all of our staff from all 5 buildings, North Penn and Purdy. Hope you guys make it over here. We'll be out on the track, and we'll be serving up some lunch. Come visit us on the last day of school, and we can serve you for once instead of the other way around. So, and just thank you for a trying year. We'll leave it at that. So with that said, unless anyone has anything else, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second that.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a great night. I'm sure it's ready. Got high school staff in high school.
And then elevation, like the police project, the seniors and rest of that situation.
Thank you, sir. You as well.
Would it be possible for me to take this cord